this.
I'm gonna switch sides
I saw
with
you
you,
guys on
Michaela.
TikTok. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was at Reliance.
Oh, really? Well, that's not too
I
bad.
was like, they got sloth.
Yeah.
So I told
We
my
got
husband,
3.
oh my gosh.
We've got 3 right now, and we're hoping to get a 4th one here pretty soon once they pass their ambassador test. And so we've got Zoe, and our new one we'll name Chloe. And we've got Flash and Dash.
Oh. What you looking at? I don't know this one.
She's starting to learn my name. And they have really poor eyesight, and so they can't tell the difference between me and you. Oh, big yawn. By looking at us, but they can hear the difference, and so everybody that's been here for months and years, you know, they all know what they sound like, and so they know when they come in the room, oh, you know, that's the one that feeds me every day, or that's the one that comes in here and gives me snuggles every day. But they can't see the difference. They have something that's called
Okay, good.
raw.
I know I can't help myself.
No, it's okay. It's alright.
You're fine.
No worries.
You're like, waited forever. I never thought I'd get to.
Yeah.
Look at you, got me all emotional. You don't know why.
She says, what are you doing? Is that food for me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
But they have something that's called rod monochromacy, and it means that they only have rod cells in their eyes and no cone cells. And cone cells are what's responsible for being able to see color. And so they can't see color or anything. They're basically colorblind. And so their vision is kind of like night goggle vision, if you've ever seen a movie with
Oh, yeah.
where they show night goggle vision.
Oh,
That's pretty much what they see.
goodness. And how fast do they normally move? Like,
Not very.
they're not like, is it just like you see like all
Yes,
videos and
pretty
stuff?
much. Unless they're being chased by something that they're ravishly trying to get away from, then they are pretty relaxed, calm dudes. Usually Flash hangs up there. She's probably looking for him.
Oh,
He's in there sleeping right now.
which is probably what she wants.
Say no, she would much rather be on somebody than sleeping. Every time we go in there, she'll wake up and eventually climb over to us and, oh, good yawn. Once when we put her down, when she was real young, they wanted to name her Oof, because when we put her down, anytime we go to walk away, she'd go oof, oof, oof.
Oh.
She loves her snuggles. It used to be baby sloth snuggles, but when she turned a year old, we dropped the baby and just called it sloth snuggles. And then we've got Dash, and he's got baby sloth cuddles, and then once he turns a year, he'll be just sloth cuddles.
It's like when kids were like babies, they just push
Yes.
in the
And you just want to rock, and every time I hold her, I'm like, rock, back and forth.
Now I don't even want to move this at all.
But something pretty cool about them is they only use the bathroom about once a week, so every 7 to 10 days. They'll come down all the way to the bottom of the tree, do a little potty dance on the ground, and then go ahead and use the bathroom. They don't poop or pee in the trees. They wait a whole week to come down, and they do both at the same time.
That's some control right there.
And you can imagine, you know, holding it for that long, they lose about a third of their entire body weight every time they do. Every time they come down. And of course, when you're so slow, you don't want to be exposed to, you know, predators and things like that so often. So I want to come down only once a week. Are you staying at one of our campsites, or did you just come down just for
We
this?
just came down for this. My husband surprised me.
Oh,
That's my birthday present.
happy birthday.
Our noses are so smooth.
Yes, they look silky all the
Look
time.
at the grape. So afraid to drop. I mean, you got good grip.
yawn again.
No,
I should not
she
be
is.
thinking about it.
That's happened. That's in the process. It's in the process.
She's awfully yawny today.
Okay. My man, my husband been yawning like that. He naps a lot too. He does.
So the guy that we get our sloths from, well, the guy that we get Zoe and Dash from, he's a breeder that's a doctor of veterinary medicine, and he's been studying and breeding the sloths for over 30 years, doing all the extensive research and everything on them to know exactly how to do things, and so he's a pretty cool guy. And the first sloth that he got, Sloth 0, was a sloth that was injured and couldn't return to the wild. And so we never promote, you see people go on cruise ships and things, Costa Rica, Guatemala and things, that the natives will see, little baby sloth as just a way to make a quick buck and go out into the rainforest and get just a sloth, maybe even off the mother's back, and bring them out, and set up a little exhibit or,
me.
I know, and they just think
They're
that,
such good parents. I've seen so many videos on them that
Yes.
they just love their baby.
yes, they do.
Oh my goodness. Oh, we're stretching. Stretch it out. So good.
And so, of course, after they're taken from their mother like that in the wild, after the people, make their profit from what they want, and then they put them back into the rainforest, of course, babies don't have a chance after they're, on their own like that, especially being stressed out after being handled and everything. But as you can see, Zoe is very much not stressed out from this encounter. And she doesn't get any more than a total of 2 hours a day with being, having holding times with them, doing our encounters and everything. So we limit it to what time they feel comfortable. And so when we first started doing our encounters with Flash, he started it being his routine that he'd come down around 10 a.m. and every morning to get his snacks. And so we started basing our encounters around his schedule. And so he came down around 10, so we started doing it around 10 o'clock.
So it's less stressful.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Zoe?
Oh, we're going to sleep. Maybe it's a really big yawn. Get it.
What do you think? She's being silly.
Sniffing is their snack over there.
And she always likes to lean that way too. It's never over the left shoulder. She likes to lean on the right shoulder like that.
You can just lean it out wherever you want it now. You're precious. Oh, you're just precious.
Might be getting a little bit too close to her side there,
Oh.
towards her belly.
Okay.
She gets real particular about being touched near her belly.
Okay, we go back. Okay, there we go. That better. All right, we got it.
She doesn't seem to understand that every time she leans way out and exposes her belly, that people usually think, oh, maybe she wants her belly
I was
scratched.
just trying to keep her from falling.
Yeah.
No belly bumps. No belly bumps.
But with our new baby, Dash, well, I say new, he's been here several months, but with our baby, Dash, we're trying to acclimate him a lot better than we did Zoe. It's always like, first child, you have to be so particular with things, and then we have Dash, now we're trying to, be sure that we try to rub him everywhere, make sure he's okay with, rubbing on her belly and touching her hands and things.
Y'all have birthdays.
But like I said, Zoe is a two-toed sloth, and we're kind of transitioning more so now to say two-fingered and three-fingered sloth, because they all have 3 toes on their back feet, but their front feet are where the difference is between two-toed and three-toed. And so she's a two-toed Linnaeus sloth. And of the two-toed variety, there's 2 different species. There's the Linnaeus and Hoffman sloths. And there's about 4 other species of the three-toed sloths. And our our two-toed, like Zoe is, they always get a little bit bigger than our three-toed variety. But Zoe is almost as big as Flash is, which is our big male. And so she'll probably surpass him in weight when she gets full grown.
And you said she was just a year.
She turned a year in December, so she's still got a good bit of growing to do.
When do they stop growing?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I'd say probably around 2.5 years or so. It probably varies a little bit too on sloth to sloth, but
Trying to get you very comfy and keep wiggling your toes and keep bringing you feel like you're gonna fall. So much.
they're definitely used to hanging on, so they usually feel pretty secure. Especially in our little blue chair, we like to have people sit in that because it lets you lean back a little bit more, so they
I
feel.
like to lean back a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I just tried to sit up straight because I
Uh-huh.
don't want her to feel
No, you can
there we
scooch on back and get as comfortable as you want. I slouch a lot in that chair. I'll scoot my butt to the very edge. And I said they have real poor eyesight, and they also have, it gets a lot worse in the daytime. They have what's called bright blindness. And so in
Okay.
the real bright lights, their vision is even worse.
I don't like the bright lights either.
And so some people consider them to be more nocturnal. They come out a lot more at nighttime, but they'll also come out during the day. But there's not so many things out to get them at the nighttime like there is in the day. But the eagle is by far number one that tries to get our sloths in the trees. From the underside of the canopy, they blend in pretty well with their moss and algae and everything that grows on their backside. But from the air, the eagles can spot them a lot easier than some of our ground-dwelling friends. And another thing that's pretty interesting about our sloths is that they have a total of 46 ribs. And all of those ribs are they have connective tissue that's intertwined with their intestinal system and everything. And so if they were to take a fall over 100 feet, they would survive that fall, and whatever was trying to get them would most definitely not. You know, you think about getting into a car accident, it's always the jar that gets you afterwards, you know,
Yeah.
everything moving around inside of you. And so they don't really have that impact like a lot of the other ones do that will try to get them and everything.
Maybe your snackies over that way. Do you know the snackies coming that way? You need the snacks coming that way.
What are you looking at? Do you want me to try to get a few pictures of you for?
Oh, yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't mind.
Is it like a swap to the side?
You can swipe up and all this.
Hi, Zoe. Hi. Oh, these are good.
Oh, she's like, I know
Yeah.
you.
Hi, honey. What are you looking at? Those are some good ones.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate it.
And so a lot of times the other thing that causes them to fall out of the tree about once a week, they usually have a fall about once a week in the wild. And another thing that causes them to fall is that, like I said, they don't have real good eyesight. And so a lot of times they'll be reaching to grab that branch and they'll grab their leg. And then they'll
Oh.
let go with their leg and then they'll go falling down.
Oh, no.
I'm not expecting
That's
it.
why you're built for falls.
Mhm.
Oh,
This design is definitely amazing.
Then we're back now.
The three-toed sloths that you see most pictures of three-toed sloths on the internet and things, they've got the bandit eyes that go over, and then they have the perpetual smile that you see a lot of the times. Those are our three-toed sloths.
Snuggles, hugs. They're like a hugger.
She likes to be real up close to your neck, and then Dash, our baby, we call him a belly baby because he wants to wrap around your belly. But we've not had any scientists that have actually tracked a sloth from birth to natural, death. And so in the wild, we're not exactly sure what their lifespan is. We estimate about 25 to 30 years, but in captivity, our oldest sloth that we know of was actually named Jan, and she's in a zoo in Germany. Just passed away last August, and she lived to be 54 years old.
Oh my goodness.
So we're hoping to keep ours around for as long.
Like leash. Naps and food. My dogs, naps and food.
Another cool thing about them is they definitely don't have a problem with turning away food if they're full. I wish I had that capability because a lot of times, even if I'm full and you put a good snack in front of me, I'm still taking it. But they will eat ravishly as long as they're hungry, but as soon as they have a full belly or it gets time for them to come down and use the bathroom, then they will turn away food. And they have such a slow digestive system that it takes them a long time to digest everything. And so you could expect, if you're still filling yourself when you're full to the brim, then that probably would not be the best outcome. So again, their design is just absolutely amazing. Everything for a reason.
Licking her lips.
How often do they eat? Like once a day or?
No, they're pretty much snackers. I mean, especially with the encounters that we do and everything, they come out and we're like, oh yeah, maybe I want a bite to eat. And we always, give them what they want. So they snack a lot of times just throughout the day, especially our baby. He's a professional snacker.
Those are really great.
Yeah. And we'll leave the food in there, even if Dash, he came from a different place than our two babies have. And so